Coach, Lamar Jackson has been outstanding. You heard when you first right before you came in what his salary is this year. I mean, he's making peanuts for being as good as he is. Should the Ravens sign him to a long-term extension now, or should they wait?
And they will. Frankly, it's going to be cheaper now than later. Notwithstanding something unexpected happening this year, it'd probably be cheaper for them to do it now. But there's always, the cap and how you balance it with the rest of the team going forward. That's all part of it. They are committed to him. They know he's their quarterback going forward. They're going to give him one of these mega contracts. They just have to get the details worked out because that's what that organization does, and they are totally committed to him as their franchise quarterback.
Yeah, so get it. I mean, you might as well then get it done. I mean, he deserves it. I think you hear about his mom negotiating it, but at this point, it doesn't even matter, because of quarterbacks being not really slotted, but we kind of know what the contract is going to look like. Do we believe that this evolution that needs to happen, and I think it will happen with Lamar Jackson, is underway? Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator, has been basically playing to his strengths the last couple of years, but we keep saying from afar, you got to start making those dig throws. You got to start making those second window slant throws. You got to get those out routes. Like when can we expect to see him evolve into that? It's now going into his fourth year.
Well, I think the Ravens have embraced the fact we might not ever see that. I don't think he's that kind of a guy. Yeah, he might get a little bit better. He is so unique in his productivity that what he does from the pocket, I think, probably is what it is. And it's good enough in conjunction with the other things that he's doing. They'll try to maximize it. They drafted a wide receiver, and they're always going to. But at the end of the day, he's going to be a 450-throw guy because they run the ball so effectively. That is who they are.
Yep.
So, people said, well, he didn't. He fell off last year. I don't think he fell off. I just think he further established this is who he is. This is how he's going to play, and for the most part, it's good enough.
Yeah, I think you're right. Brian Billick, NFL Network analyst, former Ravens coach, is joining us here on Tiki and Tierney. This division is really interesting now. I mean, the Bengals, let's assume that Joe Burrow gets healthy. Maybe they have some offensive line issues, at least some continuity that they need to figure out. But the Bengals are going to be better. Obviously, the Ravens are fantastic. The Steelers with health, Big Ben's health, defensively, if they stay healthy, they'll be good. This division feels, and obviously the Cleveland Browns made the playoffs last year. This division feels like it's one of the toughest in football. You agree?
I think they're clustered together there. I think Baltimore's clearly the best of the four. But I think Cincinnati, like I say, is going to be better. Cleveland, they're going to ready to. I mean, the interesting thing with Cleveland is now for the first time, Baker Mayfield is coming back with the same coach and the same system and kind of the same group of guys. So I think you can expect an upside there. Ben Roethlisberger is going to have to wait and see what happens with that offensive line in front of him, but we know what he's capable of doing. I think they'll be better on defense. I agree. I think this division could be clustered together and be competitive through the entire year.
Yeah, no, this is. I mean, it feels like it's going to be black and blue again, which makes it fun and interesting, as you all remember from your years there. A lot of people think Big Ben is done. Do you think he's done? I mean, he's older. He came off of Tommy John surgery last year, so maybe he was affected a little bit by that. But you mentioned the offensive line, but just Big Ben in general. He's got some new, younger weapons, even though Juju decided to come back on a one-year deal. Like, what can we expect from Big Ben? He's 38 years old, maybe going to be 39 this year. And it feels like it's time, but I don't know if it's time yet. What do you think?
Yeah, it's hard to evaluate Ben Roethlisberger and use conventional criteria to say, well, these throws or the way he's doing that. He muscles his way into such levels of productivity. I don't know that he's done. Again, the offensive line, which is in transition, can he keep upright and not get get barraged by the rush? They Najee Harris now in the running game. Maybe they'll run the ball a little bit better. Yeah, I think Ben will look like Ben does, and it's not pretty. It's kind of rough around the edges. And this guy, he's a future Hall of Famer in my opinion.
Yep.
But he's also a drama queen. Ben's at some point he's gonna get hit and go off to the sideline and drag his arm into the huddle like he can barely lift it, and then throw an 80-yard bomb for a touchdown. And it's just what Ben does. And there's no reason to think that he still can't do it. But that offensive line is going to be interesting to watch to see if indeed they can protect him.
That's so true. You described that is so true. Brian Billick, NFL Network analyst, joining us here. All right, let's make you the in charge of the Green Bay Packers. Not the head coach, because the head coach is going to say what the head coach is going to say, but you're in charge. It feels like they're trying to wage a PR fight against Aaron Rodgers, and he's been nothing but spectacular, including winning the MVP past season. But over the last 3, I heard this stat this morning, he's thrown 99 touchdowns to 9 interceptions over the last 3 years. How do they make this right, Coach?
Pay the man. That's basically what this comes down to, and neither one of them are going to come off real well if this continues. Aaron, I think, is taking a little bit of a hit, a PR hit as well.
Yep.
But you outlined, this guy is so spectacular. I mean, that touchdown-interception ratio, you're right in bringing that up, because at the end of the day, I mean, to be of any level, you got to be 2-1, okay, to be any considered, good enough in this league. And then you've got some guys like a Drew Brees, it's like 3-1, and Tom Brady, might approach 4. Aaron Rodgers is, 5-1. Almost 10-1 that you just outlined.
Yeah.
Unbelievable in terms of his productivity, yet staying away from interceptions. So, and then basically at the end of the day, you got to pay the man.
Yeah.
And it's hard because the guy is 62 years old. So, and there's ramifications now to that money that you're going to spend and guarantee. And then now when he gets to that point where he can't do it any longer. So that's the tough thing right now. They want to pay him. They know he deserves it. But to do it and not basically bankrupt the organization going forward, that's going to be the tough thing.
I mean, is it really about money? It feels like it isn't, but it obviously always will be. This is unprecedented. You can't do it. I know he's a part owner in the Milwaukee Bucks, so he kind of has a championship with the Bucks.
Tiki.
Could they do something like that?
You're a former player. It is always about the money.
Yeah.
It is all, and if no other reason, then that also then the money is the barometer we use to say, are you giving me the proper respect? Does it put me? It is interesting, though, because the quarterbacks with the inflated contracts and the guaranteed money now, it's beginning to feel a little like the NBA, isn't it?
Yeah.
You get the sense that the quarterbacks kind of want to be LeBron James-ish.
Yeah, and control everything.
Okay, I want to have this kind of input because that's what – because they all want to be NBA basketball players at the end of the day. and so it's kind of getting that kind of feel like they want to kind of make it that way.
Yeah, but isn't it? Haven't they done this to themselves? I mean, I remember having this conversation after Pat Mahomes signed his deal, and it's like you're giving a guy a $500 million contract. He's basically your partner. I know he's an employee,
absolutely,
but he's basically your partner. It sounds like John Gruden getting a $100 million deal. You know what I mean? It's like you can't. They're not separable anymore.
Yeah, and that's where the Packers maybe messed up in that. When they didn't tell their partner they were drafting a quarterback in the first round 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Deshaun Watson wasn't at least consulted or talked to about the coaching change and who they were going to bring in. You're right. And that's where they are right now. And it is like in the NBA. And in that regard, in these guys. And whether you like it or not, you got to kind of treat it that way. Otherwise, there's going to be some repercussions. And I'm not sure that that's not part of what's going on with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I think you're dead on with that. Brian Billick, NFL Network analyst, is joining us here. Before I let you go, Coach, we haven't heard much recently. You mentioned Deshaun Watson about his case. It feels like it's heading towards settlement. Who knows? And eventually there's going to be some sort of, I'm sure, a commissioner-led penalty handed down, missing some games. If you were a head coach, would you want him on your team in 2021?
Boy, it's such a dynamic talent. And if he can get past this rough spot right now, how do you not? Because you got to have one of those guys if you're going to compete in the NFL, and he's proven that he can do it. And if he can show some maturity and come through this and come out of it, yeah. Now the question becomes, well, what's the price?
Yeah.
Who's going to pay that price? With this other caveat on it, that's going to make this an interesting decision for him.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Coach, appreciate you joining us again. The season is right around the corner. Some teams are already in training camp, so we'll be watching you on the NFL Network, and hope to talk to you again soon, Coach. Be well.